Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me. My name is Juan-Pablo Robledo. I'm a psychologist mostly interested in the relationship between music and vocal prosody. I am currently finishing a temporary lectureship at the Université de Lorraine in France. And what I will now share with you is work I undertook during my PhD at the Center for Music and Science at the University of Cambridge, during which I added a developmental layer to my research. So, as a bit of background, let's say that contemporary adult engagement with music is largely through records, and that humans seem to be from the beginning naturally drawn to music, even in recorded forms. As some examples, there is the famous research by HEPA, in which fetuses developed a soap addiction. And then there is more recent research showing that 5-month-olds show rhythmic coupling. However, such examples involve fleeting engagement, which is technically called initial fixation. What seems to draw infants and children's sustained engagement, on the other hand, which is called cumulative fixation, seem to be live social forms of music. Mainly what is called the infant-directed, in the infant-directed register, infant-directed singing. This engagement with live social forms of music has led researchers to postulate that music carries social meaning or that it serves as a social signal. So in terms of questions, the overarching question that motivates this research is when and how do children come to autonomously and sustainedly engage with music that is not sung by a familiar individual, such as recorded music. In terms of hypothesis, in first 18 to 24 months old will, even in the company of the parents, autonomously and sustainably engage with recorded music. This scenario would imply an intrinsic motivation unmediated by the parents' engagement. Alternatively, children of this age will autonomously and sustainably engage with recorded music, mainly as long as their parents are themselves also engaging with the music. As a third scenario, children of this age will show no motivation for listening to recorded music whatsoever. So the present study is a partial replication of Alexandra Lamont's experience sampling study. However, the current focus is not so much in children's engagement with music in general, but rather in what takes place in the company of the parents. For this reason, and here's the partial bit of the replication, nothing other than the parent's personal cell phone was required this time, and sustained engagement needed to be explicitly assessed. 25 participating mothers took part in the study with their 25 target children, 13 boys and 12 girls. The phone calls. Participating parents were contacted through their personal mobile phones during 1 week of their own choice, only within agreed sociable hours, usually between breakfast and dinner, maximum 3 times a day at quasi-random intervals. The questions were as follows. Where are you and your child? What are you two currently doing? How are you two getting along at the moment? Is there any music or singing on at the moment? If not, has there been any music or singing in the last 2 hours? If so, what is it? Who chose it? Is your child aware of the music? Is your child responding to or showing an interest in the music? How can you tell? If so, is it only for a few seconds or is it sustained? Again, how can you tell? How did you play music or sing to your child last night before going to bed? And then any further comments. In terms of analysis, I applied the descriptive statistics, which would allow a straightforward comparison to what Alexandre Lamont did. But then this time I added a random forest analysis in which all involved factors would be tested in their ability of predicting sustained engagement. In terms of results, the descriptive results, a total number of 355 episodes contained music, accounting for 82% of the totality of the episodes. And as you can see, it's pretty much the same as Alexandre Lamont reported, so quite equivalent. Out of those, 112 episodes contain music directed at the child by a human being. Out of those, 96 episodes were children sustainedly engaged with music, and only 16 episodes with no sustained engagement. On the other hand, 188, around 66% episodes containing music from a non-human source, and this time most episodes showed no sustained attention, so opposite tendencies. And as you can see, this time percentages are quite different from Alexandre Lamont's findings. Then there were also some episodes containing self-singing, and then a few discarded episodes. In terms of the random forest, I unfortunately don't have the time to explain this procedure. Let's just say that this dataset presents a classification problem, which require decision trees, a kind of predictive model that extracts a subset of total data and uses it to predict the behavior of the output variable in the remaining portion of the dataset. By running hundreds of possible trees, therefore the name forest, and correlating them, a comparison of the importance of a given variable in each tree can be performed. This variable importance plot, also called a mean decrease Gini, shows that only two variables clearly detach from the rest, the ones you can see here. Whether the child was aware of the music and whether the child was alone or interacting. More precisely, it shows that the child being aware of the music is the best predictor of sustained engagement. Although the latter is obvious, it does give an idea of the biggest possible mean decrease Gini in this random forest, so around 3. The plot also shows that the child being in a context that involves interaction with another person is almost as strong a predictor of sustained attention. The rest of the variables did not present a clear predictive power. So, when comparing the current sample to Lamont's 3 to almost 4 years old, children's exposure to music does not change significantly between the two developmental windows hereby compared. Both my sample and Alexandre Lamont's sample show that children are exposed to up to 4/5 of their time. The biggest contrast between the two samples is the parents' musical performance. While 3-year-olds rarely did so, their 18 to 24-month counterparts are still receiving live performances around 1/3 of the time. And then there was also quite some bedtime singing in my sample, and this was not assessed in Alexandre Lamont's sample, so it remains to be investigated. In terms of the random forest analysis, it confirms the second hypothesis. By far, the variable that seems to better predict sustained engagement in this developmental window is interaction with a significant other. The variable importance plot rules out, and this is important, some undesired significant effects. For instance, learning curves, carryover effects, social desirability, or the mother's need to recall some episodes. None of these had a significant effect, fortunately. Results can be interpreted in terms of cultural learning, in the sense that recorded music is an object of attention and the child pays attention to it in an attempt to understand the adult's interest in engaging with it. Results can also be interpreted in terms of the theory of natural pedagogy. Basically, for 18 to 24 months olds, music is still a largely opaque object. Recorded music and many other forms of art can be considered significantly more opaque in epistemological terms. It can be said to be teleologically opaque, as children need to be taught its purpose. This is for enjoyment, for distraction, for socializing, for introspection. It can also be said to be casually opaque, as children need to be taught how to approach it. Should I dance to it, do actions, interact, etc. The opacity of recorded music and the role of infant-directed speech in facilitating children's understanding of its potential uses, in spite of such opacity, should be properly investigated. As a conclusion first, then what I'd like you to take home with you is that music that is not directed live at them is not yet worth the sustained engagement of 18 to 24-month-olds. Unless such music takes part in a triadic situation in which a significant other's attention is also involved. Such is the case of recorded music. Thank you so much again for joining me. These are the references, and this video should be available in YouTube shortly. Thank you so much.